Welcome back to News in Focus. Of course, yesterday I'd spoken to the Gauteng chairperson of SAMTEA, Midday Mali. And of course, what is currently happening with the impasse between the taxi industry and that of the e-hailing industry. This comes, of course, after the death of Mr. Mvalase 2 weeks ago that occurred in Maponya Mall, who was an e-hailing driver himself. So today we decided to bring the South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association. And joining me in studio, I'd like to welcome Sibongiseni Shange, who is the chairperson of that organization. Mr. Shange, thank you so much for joining us here on News in Focus on Hilaal TV.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to get your reaction. Of course, I did send through the interview to you. You've had a watch with regards to that. So just your basic summarization of what was spoken yesterday to Midday Mali, given where we are right now between the taxi industry and the e-hailing one?
Well, it's quite unfortunate and regrettable for what happened in Maponya Mall, because for the past 4 years, SAMTEA has been working very hard to unite the industry as per the Lekgotla resolutions that it's got about 5 pillars that are saying we need to unite, we need to transform, you need to professionalize, you need to corporatize the industry. So we have been working very hard. As you will know, that there's a perception around that people think that SAMTEA is more about the minibuses, or to find that SAMTEA is more of a mother body of the whole industry, whole taxi industry. It is actually an apex body of the industry. It's got minibus, midibus, meter taxi, e-hailing, scholar transport and cross-border, and women in the taxi industry.
So, yeah, you were mentioning that because one would have thought that it's just obviously about minibus taxi. And that's part of obviously where SAMTEA wants to go to in terms of the formalization of the taxi industry.
As I'm speaking to you now, as SAMTEA, we are actually an affiliate of SAMTEA. And then we've been there for the past 4 years, as I explained. And we've been welcomed, we've been schooled in terms of how to formalize ourselves, how to organize ourselves. It's been a journey. It's just that as we are working hard behind the scene, we're not calling the media to say this is what we're doing good. Or the only time that the media hears about us is when there is a crisis like this one. But however, as much as that has happened, we leave this to the law enforcers to make sure that they do their job in order to capture the perpetrators who have done this, because of so far we are assuming that it's a taxi industry. It could be a third force, it could be something else. We don't know up until we have someone that must be accountable for this.
I want to ask this question, Mr. Shange. It's a one that I had asked midday yesterday with regards to vetting of drivers. So when it comes to meter taxi and e-hailing, how is that being done? Because it would be unfortunate to blame SAMTEA if a driver goes ahead and commits violations. It would be totally wrong for that. So it's the same question I asked to you from SAMTEA's perspective. How is the vetting of drivers occurring, whether it's Uber, Bolt, or any of the meter taxis?
No, it's quite a process. We make sure that the driver that is driving your car, because of you understand it's an asset that you have invested money into. So now you can't just give it to a stranger that you have not gone through the process of understanding what kind of a character is this. So we do, some people, I'm talking about operators now who have a fleet of vehicles. They can do that through the platform of Uber. They do it through the other platforms. But you know, the fingerprints and vetting, all that is done, and it's not only done in one go, as in like 1 day or 2 days. You take fingerprints, you send them, then in a week after, then you receive the fingerprints from, of course, from the vetting department. And also the driver, you test drive the driver, you know, through the right channel, whereby now the qualified people, they test drive the driver, and then to satisfy that the driver is actually qualifying to ferry customers. Yes.
The violence that we've been seeing, of course, when a lot of what we heard from the residents of Maponya Mall is that they were seeing many customers on e-hailing services being asked to get out of there and go into taxis. Have you, as SAMTEA, experienced any of that from your drivers? If so, how has that been conducted?
It happens from time to time. Hence, the collaboration between the modes. When I'm saying the modes, I'm referring to the minibuses and also the e-hailing is very important in order to clarify the working relationship. Because you will find that the e-hailing is not really yet formalized, as you would know that we're still waiting for the regulations to be actually implemented. So there are many people who come into the e-hailing not understanding what is expected of them. As long as the app is requesting and is directing him to pick up a customer, that particular person will feel that he's got the right to do whatever that he needs to do. But with regulations, we'll direct and we'll give what you call an indication on how you should be operating, as we need to coexist. And coexistence, it means that we need to be able to complement each other, not necessarily fight for a competition.
I'm going to talk about the regulations or the bill that has been brought by the Transport Department after the break, Mr. Shange. But as we sit right now, the future of e-hailing, where do you see it now in terms of its relationship with that of the taxi industry? You've mentioned SAMTEA being an affiliate, obviously, to Santaco. Can there be a coexistence occurring? Because, look, again, and I have to bring up, it would be unfair to supposedly, blame Santaco for an action of one driver. It takes one driver who thinks they probably are a law upon themselves to say, well, you know what, we want to take all the customers. We don't really care what happens to you as an Uber or Bolt driver. You are going to give us this customer. If you don't, there's going to be violent measures that could be taken. We don't want that to happen in South Africa. We don't want this country to be a lawlessness one. So do you still feel that there can be a coexistence?
No, it's not a matter of a feeling. It's happening. It's just that it might be happening in some spaces whereby there's formality and there's transformation. And then it needs to be cascaded down to the operation, the ranks and all that. It's a process, it's a work in progress. As I'm saying that we have been working, we've got a very good relationship with Santaco. We're working on it, and as we formalize the industry, we'll be able to reach that goal. Not now, it will take some time, but we not only us that are responsible to do this, we are inviting other relevant stakeholders like the professionals and all that, the corporates and all that, to come into the space in order for them to actually formalize the industry collectively.
You talk about stakeholders, Gauteng Transport Department. I mean, how much of a role do they have to play with regards to the safety and security also that needs to come and play a part in this? Because everyone does not operate by themselves. We all operate within a certain bubble. So how much of a role does, for example, the Gauteng department, or actually departments across the provinces, need to play with regards to this?
They're actually a custodian of the law. They should be not interpreting the law as they have been doing. They should be implementing the law and enforcing the law. They find themselves wanting, as if now they don't understand what is expected of them. In actual fact,
so you're saying they don't understand it?
As if they don't. Because of the end of
they're not set with, for example, the e-hailing industry and the taxi industry to get a broader understanding of it?
Compliance is very important. You need to know who's operating and who's ferrying customers, and is he registered, and where is he registered? And you need to know that that person is traceable. Through what? Through the compliance and through the regulations. We have been using those regulations through the Meter Taxi Act all along since e-hailing came. So now you should have used that. Meanwhile, while you're waiting for the regulations of the e-hailing to be passed. So now I don't understand why would the government not applying what is there. I don't understand.
Well, after the break, I'm going to be continuing this conversation with Sibongiseni Shange. There's a new bill that has been brought by Minister of Transport, Barbara Creecy. A lot of regulations, especially that of the e-hailing services. My conversation with Sibongiseni continues after the break. Welcome back to News in Focus. I'm still in conversation with the chairperson of SAMTEA, Sibongiseni Shange. Transport Minister Barbara Creecy says new legislation will better regulate the e-hailing space. This is following, of course, what we saw 2 weeks ago in Soweto. Speaking with the publication Sunday Times, Creecy said that the National Land Transport Amendment Act would introduce regulations for e-hailing services like Bolt and Uber and could ease the rivalry. I'm going to touch on that, some of the regulations, which you could maybe break down for some of our viewers who are customers of e-hailing services, Sibongiseni. The communication that SAMTEA, SANTACO and the Transport Ministry / Department has, how important is it not only for them to decide on these bills to be brought, but also an understanding of the actual industry?
Yes. No, we participated in as far as the bill is concerned in terms of the submissions. 2016, we're up and down in Cape Town in Parliament to make sure that they hear our voice and also educating them about the industry because of what in Parliament, they're making the laws, but they also need to understand what's happening on the ground. So now it has been a long journey. I think 8 years it took, and now it has been signed last year by the president.
Yes.
The act has been signed, and we were just waiting for regulations to be implemented. The regulations are there. We're just waiting for them to be sent to the provinces. So the engagement has been there from time to time.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously this had happened
Yes.
within that time where Mr. Umvalasi, of course, lost their lives. I just think that is just part and parcel of having a space. And unfortunately, this tragic murder had occurred.
Well, it was actually a concern on our side, and whereby we sat down with our president and said, we can't just keep quiet about the influx and the stress of the industry, and these are all your children, regardless of who's working on e-hailing or meter taxi or minibus. There must be something that comes through in terms of the statement from the office. We did send a statement that we need to fast track from the department to fast track the regulations. So now unfortunately then the tragedy in Soweto happened. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, as maybe the department needs to stand up now, need to actually respond positively and listen and make sure that things are done. We cannot be counting lives, and we've been losing lives every day. It's quite tiring now because of these are our brothers, these are our sisters that we are losing.
Well, they're breadwinners also.
Yes,
at the same
breadwinners,
time.
yes. And the desperation of people having to put something on the table because of you understand the scarcity of joblessness in this country.
Okay, let's look at what some of the regulations that wants to be tabled with regards to this. They will no longer be required to use charter permits or taxi operating licenses here in South Africa. They will receive an official e-hailing operating license. So what's the difference between an e-hailing operating license as opposed to charter permits and meter taxi operating licenses?
The difference is you need to be on the system. You remember most that you're using a phone to request or to receive rights. So now you will only receive rights through the phone, and you will only use the e-hailing in order to operate receiving those rights.
So there's sort of like an app which will be linked to an official e-hailing system.
Because of is a roaming kind of service.
Right, okay.
It does not necessarily mean that you have to just park in one place like in a rank. You might have a starting point. It must be known through the municipality where you're operating in as far as demarcations are concerned. But at the end of the day, it's a roaming service, meaning you get a pickup as you drive. So you get a pickup where? On the system. And on a system on the phone. As a way we will compare the charter is a pre-book, a one route service whereby it's A to B. And then the meter taxi one, the only difference there, The meter taxi one is analog, and then the e-hailing one is electronic. That's the only difference. Otherwise, they're similar.
When you say analog, it's the older way of
the
using
older
meter
way,
taxis,
which is a meter.
Yeah, okay,
it's a
all right,
meter.
okay.
Inside, it's
Yes.
either the customer will walk towards you, or the customer will book you through telephone, or the customer will email, whatever the case may be, or it will be an arrangement. You remember before there used to be offices,
Yes,
where
yeah.
people will call the office,
Yeah.
the office line, and then it should be the pickup will be allocated to a certain driver,
Okay.
using walkie-talkies.
Yes.
So now that
Yes.
is old way. Now it's on a phone.
Yeah.
So it's
Which of course
electronic.
moving in with the times.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, this is an important one, Sibongiseni. They will receive, each vehicle, I beg your pardon, will also be branded or
Yes.
carrying a sign
Yes.
that'll say it is an e-hailing service.
Yes.
Now, my understanding is when you take, obviously, Uber, you won't really know that it's an Uber unless maybe you could see a phone, which of course has certain directions or where the customer wants to use. So my assumption is whatever vehicle the e-hailing driver is having, you as the customer will know, and of course your fellow colleagues within the e-hailing services will know that you are indeed an e-hailing service driver.
As you carry customers for a reward, it is a law that you must be branded, it must be visible.
But that hasn't happened so far,
It
from my
hasn't-
understanding.
It hasn't happened because of
Yeah.
the way e-hailing came.
Sure.
It came as a private service, of which you can't have a private service as you ferry people for a reward.
Yes.
You need to be public. So now, since it's been signed into law, it's a public service.
Yes.
So now, as it is a public service, it needs to be branded. It needs to be visible. You need not to guess if this is your vehicle that is coming. You need to be seeing it from the distance that this is a vehicle based on branding. Looking at a number plate or registration only is not enough. You need to know to see it from the distance. Yes.
Minister Creecy said that the new system will ensure no oversupply of public transport services.
Yes.
From SAMTEA's perspective, have we seen an excess of supply within the public transport system?
Of course, as I explained that I don't understand why the government is fund wanting, because of in municipalities, what you do, you send your application as far as operating licenses are concerned, and then it goes towards what the Gazette, and then from there it gets to be granted based on demand and supply.
Sure.
You know, you got
Yeah,
to
of
make
course.
sure that you balance it. It can't be that the supply is way too much more than the demand. Obviously, you're compromising the service because of each and everyone will be making that little. Only the app companies will be actually making money, but the drivers on the ground will be competing for a very small piece of pie. So at the end of the day, now that we're talking about regulations, we need to scrutinize the supply versus demand before you can issue the permit.
Okay, this is another important one. Minister Creecy said that the operating license will also lay out the geographical area in which it operates. Okay, you mentioned it earlier on.
Yes.
Let's take Soweto, for example, because I think it's a very contested area when it comes to public transport. If a driver is designated to be in Orlando, that can contain Orlando East or Orlando West, does that specifically mean he can only or she can only operate within that period? Which means if they are found to be, for example, in a place like Bafeni, what then happens? So explain to us that, because the geographical area, it's been a contested space, not only when it comes to e-hailing services, but especially amongst the various taxi associations.
Yes.
You're right.
No, many people are misunderstanding that concept. No, it means you got to be allocated a demarcated area where you start. But remember, I said it's a roaming service. You might have a permit or an operating license that says Eguruleni.
Right.
So it's in Eguruleni where you are demarcated to operate in terms of where you can have a holding area. But as you roam, as you drive, you have a customer that's coming to Rivonia. If the customer is coming to Rivonia, you drop off the customer And after dropping off the customer, there will be another pickup on the system as you drive. That is roaming service.
Right.
But if you start now going to the mall and park there, waiting for the next trip, that's where then the problem is in terms of the geographic.
So you're saying that it doesn't have to be specific in area. I mean, I think Ekurhuleni, I mean, there's Benoni, Germiston, Boksburg, there's many other areas. So
let me make an example with Maponya Mall.
Right, okay.
Let's say in Maponya Mall, we got about 15 drivers that have been allocated permits to operate.
Right.
Those are the known ones that they're operating there. Meaning that even if they come and park waiting for the next trip, they are known and they'll be allocated a space, just like a rank, allocated a space for them to be able to park and wait for a trip. But if you are not allocated a space or given a permit to be allocated a space there, then that's when it affects you. Because of you're supposed to be roaming. Not necessarily waiting where you're not supposed to be waiting.
One final question, Sibongiseni. Does SAMTEA back these regulations from the Transport Department? Are you in favor of it at this moment? If not, is there further consultations?
No, for controls. I mean, the guy said that we were part of this. We submitted. These are part of our submissions. In actual fact, when I look at this, I smiled because of what is exactly the way we submitted. As per we have a background of the meter tax. Like, for instance, I'll make an example with the airports. You got people who are being allocated space to park.
Yes.
Again, it goes to supply and demand. How many people are parking there? Not just anyone, but the people who are authorized. It's also about controlling safety precautions in a way that you don't have strangers parking in the wrong place. You need to know who's authorized to be there.
Sibongiseni, absolute pleasure having you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
That's Sibongiseni Shange. He is the chairperson of the South African National Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association. That's all we have for you here on News in Focus. If you missed this episode, you'll be able to watch it on our YouTube channel. Tomorrow is Talking Point. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.